Live from Detroit, it's the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast with your hosts, Dane Williams, Junko Bodie, and Bob Daniele. If you're looking for the best present to take to your mother-in-law's birthday party, you're in the wrong place, dude. We talk Michigan sports here. It's real, it's raw, and there are no punches pulled. What happens when you put a gambler, a rocket scientist, and a radio jock in the same room? Well, we're all about to find out, and it probably won't be pretty. But whatever happens, it will be lively. So grab a brew, sit yourself in your favorite rocker, and take notes. If you're some kind of nutcase, the boys are back in town and talking about the stuff that matters, Motown sports. So let's get to it, people. Here's the host of today's show, Rockin' Robert Daniele.
Hey, what up, friends? Welcome to the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. Thanks for stopping by wherever you may be. We appreciate you. And in addition to hearing us on Spotify, we can be seen and heard on our YouTube channel, Lowdown on Motown Sports. Now, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. It helps others find us. I'll be your guide today. My name is Bob Daniele. I'm here with the men that put in the work so you don't have to. Talking about Junko Bodie and Blue Dane Williams. Hello, fellas.
Hello, Robert.
Good to see you, Robert.
Well, guys, here we are, right? The sky is not falling. We can hold our heads up high again as Michigan wins over Sparty. There is order in the world again. So, guys, I was in L.A. visiting family, which, by the way, I am so exhausted with Dodgers fans. I can't get a read on if they're bandwagon fans or not, but I mean, it's like everywhere. So I wasn't participating in our little text chat on Saturday, which is always a highlight of my day. But
I'm sure it is.
I would love for you two to share some of the biggest rants or highlights, if you will. Do you guys have any choice text going back and forth?
Well, let me just say that every time I watch the game, I'm texting back and forth with Dane and Ernie, right? And it's a wild ride, the whole game, right? And it's always the most frenzied in the first and second quarters because if Michigan's not blowing a team off the face of the planet, right after the second drive, the world.
Oh my God.
The world is falling, and I lately they've had an influence on me, Bob. I have also kind of become a negative Nancy in the first part of games. But I will say that when I looked, I was reading back through some of Dane's texts yesterday, and it said, the first one that jumps out at me, and this is like early on in the game, and it's like another Morgan drop. That's like it's like 200 for him this year, I think, or something like that. And then he said Haynes looks off in the first or second quarter, and then of course Haynes has his monster game in the second half.
He did look a little off in the beginning, but
yeah. And then he gives me I just wish Hollenbeck was way more consistent. And then of course he hits when it goes over the head of the guy and it lands at the 3-yard line.
3-yard line,
and Michigan takes over.
Yeah,
so those were the three that jumped out at me immediately when I was looking at Dane's text. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you that when I look at these, I always have to check the score because I can't tell by the sounds of it. You think that they're being blown out of the water, and they're either ahead or it's a close game. So,
right.
Dane, can you kind of share with us your state of mind when you do this?
It's just funny that Randy says I became a negative Nelly. Became.
Yeah.
You're as negative as I am.
You guys
maybe
influenced
worse.
me.
Oh, my mindset going into this is like, come on, Sparty. We should be blowing the doors off of Sparty. It's going to be that way for these next few games too. But with the offense struggling and the drop passes, and and the Morgan thing was and when you watch that play, and I watched it and they broke it down, and that's Gardner and Jake Butt. I was watching, they were breaking that play down, and Underwood did everything perfectly there. He anticipated, he threw the ball before Morgan was even there, and Morgan just goes, and just
off the face mask.
It hit him in the face. I mean, all he had to do was do this. And it was just so frustrating. I'm like, why is he still on the field? And then later on, where he catches a punt at the 3-yard line. It's like,
Yeah, right.
what are you doing? And so they have to make some changes there. They've got to bring somebody else in. Morgan is just not getting it done. He's letting. I mean, Bryce's numbers look worse. I looked at his stats here. Bryce's completion rate is like 59.7%, right? Adjusted, if they had caught all the passes, there were no drops, would be at 73.4, which would put him third overall of all the quarterbacks in college. But at 59.7, he's not even in the top 100. We've got a drop rate of over 15%. I mean, it's horrible. And it's not just Morgan. I know others have dropped, but Morgan seems to be the face of drop passes. Okay, I'm done.
Well, ifs and buts, candies and nuts. So, Michigan 31, State 20 to hold on to the Paul Bunyan Trophy for another year. So some of the good, the two backs running for more than 100 yards each. Haynes at 152 at 26 carries. Marshall at 110 yards. Most of it came from a 56-yard touchdown run. The bad Bryce reminded us that he's still a first-year quarterback, right? 8 for 17 with only 86 yards passing. And I'll let you guys delve into the play calling, which was puzzling to me. This team is still a work in progress. Junko, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was just happy that we finally got a official friendly game, right?
Oh man!
For once, in the last 3 years, we actually got the better of the whistles in this game. Finally,
big time,
and especially in this series, which we've seen, Desmond Howard get tackled, on the last play of the game on a pass play, and all the stuff that didn't go our way.
Adding 2 seconds onto the clock.
Oh yeah, all the time issues, all that junk, and we finally today, or this past week, got a good group of officials, or at least a lousy group of officials that were lousy on our behalf. So there you go. Hey, also I love the 257 on the rushing. I just, and we kind of took our foot off the gas, I thought, a little bit at the end. We probably could have gotten more. We probably could have done better than that, but I think our guys are a little bit banged up, and I think we kind of took our foot off the gas there a little bit. 87 yards passing though, not
right.
That doesn't work. I don't care what they say on talk radio about we're running the ball, and when you run the ball, you don't need to throw it. You need to throw it, right? I mean, if not today, it's going to be tomorrow. You're going to have to eventually be able to pass the ball. That's something we've got to do with more efficiency, and we're going to see how that goes. And and one of the things I really loved about the game was it was the classic Childs. It was Childs being Childs. What does he do in the very first or second series of the game? He coughs the ball up in his own territory. Michigan goes and scores, and they were in control of the game after that. And when I look at kind of some of the key stats, I looked at the play of Jimmy Rolder. I mean, he was fabulous. But that stop on 4th down and the fumble recovery, 2 plays that changed the game. He every reason to be MVP for that game just on those 2 plays. So, and that's kind of what I thought. What do you think about it, Dane?
Yeah, I got to agree with everything you said, from the officiating to Rolder's play. Just fantastic. He was all over the field. It was crazy. But Hill again. I don't know if it would have been a pick 6, but at least it should have been an interception. No wonder he's playing secondary. He can't catch a damn ball. That's why he's not a receiver, right? My Lord, that's 2 right in the breadbasket that he's dropped, and it's like, what are you doing, JR?
And he had a couple last week too. He could be leading the league in interceptions easily.
He could be. I looked at that. I said, what are you doing again? But Rolder. The other thing you didn't mention was the sack. He had the 1 sack. And Derek Moore had 2 sacks. TJ Guy came up with a sack. So we had 4 sacks over. That was good. I thought Wink was calling the right plays again. He wasn't blitzing crazily. I think he learned his lesson at USC. where they just, over blitzed, over pursued, and it hurt them bad. So, State is they're just not a good team. Same with we'll talk about Purdue coming up. They're just not a good team. We
Right.
should be beating them handedly. I think the score looked a little closer than maybe what it really
There was
was,
that
'cause we had a
garbage touchdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had a all of our backups were in on defense to that last touchdown, so it's good we got them some playing time. But they were, and well, of course they put their backup quarterback in, right? He was passing pretty well. I don't know, Childs may not be starting here in the future, so interesting. No, I agree. It was a win. We got out of there with a win.
Right.
Officiating was very interesting. That offsides call saved our butt. And it looked like he timed it pretty darn well. And then a couple of times we were climbing over the backs of receivers and it wasn't called, so that was good. And I watched one of the Sparty podcasts, and the guy was pretty good. He said, "Okay, we can all talk about the officiating, but let's just call it as it is. This team's not good." So actually I was surprised because I figured there'd be maybe on one of the other podcasts there was a rant on the
Well, there's been
officiating.
plenty of it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Well, it all worked out. Okay, so let's just break it down a little bit more. With Michigan's offense against Michigan State's defense, Junko, you said last week that Bryce had to be the best quarterback on the field. Was he?
Well, luckily he was going up against Aiden Childs.
Right.
Yeah.
So was he? Yeah, probably was. Was he good? No, he wasn't.
It was a sliding scale.
Yeah, it's grading on a curve, as they say, right? So 87 yards passing against that D. No, that's not good. And probably the worst part of that, Bob, was that he had great pockets and he kept leaving them, right? I mean, I counted 5 times on the replay where he had a nicely formed pocket. He had receivers open downfield, and he took off too early. Now, I don't know if that was a function of some things that have happened earlier in the season, and he doesn't trust the offensive line. But the offensive line was solid in this game. They actually played very, very well. And so Bryce is hopefully they're gonna get a bye week after this. Is it this next week they're on the bye week, Dane? I think it is.
After Purdue, their bye week, yeah.
Yeah, so they're in their bye week next week. One of the things they're going to have to work on is him with staying in the pocket and identifying coverage. There was one play there where Marvin Klein, it was a delay tight end release. And by the way, the tight ends caught 0 passes in this game, right? And so on this particular play, Marvin Klein is on the right-hand side of the formation. They snap the ball to Bryce. Klein drifts to the left like he's doing a trap block. Instead, he waits 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then he heads out to the flat in the end zone, and he is by himself, right? But by this time, about the 2 count, Bryce is taken off to the right. He's already given up on the play, right? That's the sign of a young, immature quarterback, right? And maybe he didn't understand the play. I don't know, but it worked to perfection, and we missed it. And it's totally on the quarterback on that play. So he's going to have to get better. I keep hearing him saying in my mind, I'm not, you've seen freshman quarterbacks, but you haven't seen a freshman like me. I've seen plenty of freshmen like him, right? He's a very good player, and he's going to be a great player, but he's not a very good player right now, and he needs to get better. I don't know here's the one other thing, Dane, and I know you're going to talk about this too. It's 2nd down and goal from the 3-yard line, right? What does Michigan do? What are they supposed to do, Dane?
Run it.
Run the football.
Run it.
Right? They throw 2 passes and kick a field goal, right? I'm thinking to myself, what am I watching here? I mean, I understand Chip Lindsey is a more creative coordinator, but I think he's kind of screwed the pooch on that one. That's a situation where you've got to run the football, and or if you're not going to run the football, that ball's got to be out of his hand like that, not that run around back there looking for a guy and then throwing it to the cheap seats.
Well,
that's my rant.
I think on that play, the receivers got all tangled up, and again, it was Samaj Morgan. It was supposed to be a pick play. and he ran the wrong direction for the pick. And they all ended up, if you look at the one, they're all together. There's like there's 3 greens and 3 blues right there all together. They're all running into each other. And so the pick, it didn't work. So there's nobody open. So in my mind, he did the right thing. He threw it away
Well,
because
that doesn't happen if you run the football. You got a young quarterback.
no,
It's not the
Uh,
time for trickery. Go
I'm
take
just
control of the game.
I'm just saying that if they run that play, if they execute it correctly, I think someone would have been open. Maybe Klein would have been open there too because he was part of that. But Samaj Morgan just blew that thing up against us. I mean, when you look at the breakdown on that, so Underwood ran for that touchdown. I thought that was a great run, good decision there. The passing he hit, Marsh on a nice pass. He perfect on the Samaj Morgan drop, but Samaj dropped it. Now there are some other decisions. Yeah, I think maybe he didn't see the open receiver and he threw it away or did other things. But I think once the run, they saw he was struggling a bit, and our receivers were struggling a bit. Once the run started to work, they just stuck with the run and said, "The hell
Yeah.
with it." And
in
that's what I
spite of the
said in
fact-
my text. I said, "Man, this play calling is so vanilla." And it was.
Yeah, but
I
in
mean,
spite of the
you're almost bored watching it. Oh, here they go, and
But in spite of the fact that the state's defense is one of the worst, right?
yeah,
And so maybe
from a
that's what
pass
they,
standpoint.
but I'm sorry, pass defense. The pass defense
Yeah.
is one of the worst. So why didn't they key on that a little bit more?
Well, that was a thought. Remember when we talked about that last week, was that we didn't want Michigan to fall in love with throwing the football and not do what they do. And I think Sharon Moore in the second half really took that to heart, and he basically said, "Look, we own the line of scrimmage. Let's run the football," and they did.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. So
Yeah.
So all right, let's look at the defense. State scored 20 points, had some big plays. What was a good defensive? All right, was it a good defensive performance by Michigan, Dane?
Yes. I mean, they had the one breakout run by Frazier. I think it went like 49 yards, whatever the heck it was. Total breakdown there. But overall, the pass defense was pretty good. Rush defense was real good. They stopped them on fourth down. Wolner's play was just was amazing. So they were keeping Childs in check. They were pretty much other than that one run, they were pretty much handling the run game and the passing game. So, yeah, the late touchdown was garbage. I think the second touchdown, they kind of fell apart on that too, on that drive. But I thought overall the defense played well. I mean, when you look at the blogs out there, everybody goes, "Oh, wow, they were great." Well, they still gave up 20 points to Michigan State team that's just not that good. So it's a mixed bag for me on defense. Some really, really great plays and some just brain farts out there. What happened there? So that's my take on it. It's kind of a mixed bag.
Junko, how did you see the defense?
Well, I gave them a B overall, Bob, and I will say that I did think they played pretty good complementary football from their side of view. I didn't think the offense helped them very much. And, when you got a team on the field more, they got more opportunities to score and more opportunities to get yards. So, I would like to see if our offense would have performed a little better, they would have had less opportunity. So I think overall, when you give up 20 points, you play as poorly really as they played. And that last touchdown was garbage. I mean, they had Jordan Young playing safety back there, and on that touchdown pass, Jordan Young was 5 yards in the end zone. That's inexperience. And so, and going into the game, we all said that the one thing that they have to do is they've got to contain Aiden Childs, and they did in this game. They made him an on-the-move passer, and he had a couple small runs, but he didn't break off anything large. And the two runs that State did get, both were on missed tackles. One by Hillman, which was every week he seems to have one of those where he comes flying in and he just whiffs. And he whiffed twice in this game on tackles. Luckily, on the other one, somebody else was there to clean it up. So yeah, overall, I mean, let's be honest. Rolder and Moore were terrific. I thought Sugar Hill, Shug,
It
had a
should.
great game. Yeah, I thought he played really well.
Other than that drop.
He oh yeah, yeah. Well, even with the drop, it was a pass breakup, right?
It was,
So
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I'll give you
So
that.
I give him a lot of credit there. I thought he played really really well, and Rolder and Moore, and a lot of the young defensive linemen I think are really coming along. I really like Etta. I think he's a fast guy for being a defensive lineman. He kind of reminds me of, he's not as big as Kenneth Grant, but he's got kind of the same makeup, and I really like that about him. So overall, like I said, it's a road game, it's a conference game, it's a rivalry game. They held Michigan State basically to 13 points for most of the game. Yeah, B or B plus.
Well, the game itself had a lot of hype, as in-state rivals always do. No real shenanigans or weird stuff, no fights in the tunnel or anything like that. So we covered the weird officiating that happened to lean our way, supposedly. But what about the special teams? Dane still needs some work, right? How did that go Saturday night?
Definitely needs work. And I hate to bring up his name again, the poor kid, but Samaj Morgan,
God, he's just your whipping boy.
we need a new punt returner. He's making either he's letting the ball go over his head at the wrong time and we're losing yardage, or he's catching the ball on the 3-yard line like he did Saturday. Um, I, you know, maybe it's the coaching. Maybe they're not coaching him up well enough when he's out there. But he's been catching punts for quite a while, trying to catch punts for quite a while. But we need a change back there, or they better coach him up big time. And I even think, as a receiver, we got to give. Bring Goodwin in. I can't believe that Goodwin's could be worse than Samaj at this point. I think they leave Samaj in there because he's so fast, and when he does catch the ball, or if he's doing some jet sweep or something, he's pretty fast. He can get around there. He can, get in the open, look out. And that may be why they're leaving him in there. But kicking game, Savada, he made his field goal, right? Yeah, and made the extra point, so he's back on track. But punting is a mixed bag too. You're right. Big punt for, put it down on the 3-yard line. That was great. But he just Allenbeck needs to be a little more consistent. Some really bad punt goes 28 yards, and he's got another one goes 60. So what up with that? What do you think, Junko?
Yeah, well, I agree with everything you said there, Dane, especially about, Samaj is not the premium punt returner, but on the other hand, too, he's not fumbling the football, and it could be worse, right? And I would rather have a guy who's pointing at the ball as it's bouncing around than a guy who's running over trying to field it, right?
Yeah.
And so I give him, maybe he's being coached to be safe first and then, explosive later. I don't really know. I do know that the special teams coach Brown is probably on the hot seat at Michigan. I can't see why he wouldn't be. Outside of Zabata, who is obviously a talented kicker, their special teams are not very good. They don't have any big. We never have big kickoff returns. We never have big punt returns. Our punter's he's not dropping the ball inside the 10 that much. There's things where we could be a lot better. We're not taking advantage of the ability to pin teams deep. We're having to win our defensive struggles. And this is another thing that hurts the defense is when you're always giving another team the ball at the 30 or 40 or 50-yard line, it's harder to play defense. And so we need to really fix that special teams problem. And I think we're going to get a coaching change there at the end of the season. That's my guess.
Okay. So that rivalry is behind us. 4 regular season games to go. Michigan still has all of its goals in front of them. This weekend, another night game at home against the Purdue Boilermakers. Michigan is a 20.5 point favorite with the over-under at 49.5. Now, if there was ever a Big Ten game that you could possibly sleep on or take for granted, this would be it. But next week after that is the bye week. So maybe they'll just focus on this game and think about the bye week ahead of them. So, Junko, start us off. Break down the Michigan offense against the Purdue defense, and what is Michigan's game plan this week?
Yeah, so Bob, these are the games that always scare me because everybody thinks we're going to go in there and wipe this team out, and we're playing at home, and Purdue
Right.
sucks, and I look ahead and I say, well, they're talking about holding out the guys with injuries, which means
Oh.
that
Mhm.
Hansen may not play, Haynes may not play, and I'm thinking to myself, and we got to. And let's be honest, Bryce is still a developmental quarterback, right?
Right.
He's a vanilla quarterback at this stage of his career. And Purdue scored some points. They're not a great defensive team, but they're not a bad offensive team. I don't know. I don't know here's the
We'll
thing.
take our predictions later.
Okay, yeah. Purdue's only had 2 interceptions all season, right?
Mm.
So that tells me a lot about their secondary. I would like to see us get out to a big lead in this game and then work on the passing game. Now, I say that every week, and we never get off to a big lead because, one, our defense has been giving up touchdowns on their first drive, and secondly, our offense starts slowly. So this would be a game where I'd like to see Michigan get off to a fast start and then let's sit back. Let's give Bryce a chance to develop. And I think you do that by throwing the football. Not when you're in a goal line situation. Let him throw it on first down when in the open field, like he did a couple times earlier in the season. It seemed to work out very well. Here's the other thing too, Bob, is that we ran a bunch of RPO stuff this past week, but he only threw the ball on one of those, right?
Mhm.
And it was 9-yard completion to McCauley early in the game. That was the only RPO pass that he threw the whole game.
Mhm.
RPO has got to be a staple for us. And so here's an opportunity again for him to work on something like that. I want to see at least 5 or 6 RPOs in this game and go from there. Dame, what do you want to see?
I want to see a victory, and let's move on. It's Purdue. They're not good. They're 2-6. I mean, they lost to Rutgers. They did score some points. They scored 24 points. They lost 27-24. I think they were shut out by Northwestern. Like 16-0. So, they haven't won in the Big Ten. They beat Southern Illinois and I can't. Oh, I can't remember, a Big Mac team, Ohio or something. Well, it wasn't Ohio because they're better. Miami of Ohio, I think it was. So they're just not good. But you're right. Their quarterback has flashes of brilliance. He can create some plays. He can run a bit. So we'll have to keep him in check also. The concern
Well, what
is
about our offense, though? We're
our
talking about our
offense
offense.
right now. Haynes is questionable. I don't expect him to play. So we're going to see Marshall out there and probably the freshman. And then Rolder. Oh, on our offense. Hansen, I read today, is out for the season. He's out for the season. Hansen is out for the season. Yes, sir. So now we have some backup tight ends in there that played pretty, what was that?
That played well,
Tanielli,
right? Mm-hmm.
Marshall's played well at tight end. So I'm not too concerned that Hansen, he's been basically a no never mind this whole season, really. So I feel sorry for him that he's out for the season, but still, I don't think it's going to be a big effect on us. We do have when we get to the defense, we got a couple injuries there too we got to talk about. But so luckily, the offensive line, other than the injuries we already know about, I think is pretty solid. Receiver wise, I think we're injury free there, so that's good. And Bryce is still, healthy, which is good. So I expect us to. I say this. I said it against MSU too, but I do expect us to beat up on Purdue, especially we're home. We have not played well away, but we've played pretty darn well when we're at home. So I expect us to beat up on Purdue pretty badly. And
well, we've got our
bye week.
defense is better than our offense, and Purdue's the opposite. So does Michigan have anything to fear against Ryan Brown and the Purdue offense? How will Purdue attack Michigan? Dane, why don't you tell us what you think of the keys for Michigan's defense to be successful against the Purdue offense?
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit, but their quarterback, we have to contain their quarterback. Uh, they do have a pretty good running back. So we'll have to, make sure the rush game's there. I don't think they're passing, their pass offense. Well, they're throwing for 246 a game versus our 191 a game. So, I mean, there's a potential there, but their rush, um, they're averaging 143 yards per game. So they
Which isn't
could.
bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
it isn't bad. I mean, they could give us some issues now. Our rush D, we're only allowing three yards per rush. We're 15th in the country. And our passing D, 212 yards, which it always makes me a little nervous with our pass D. Sometimes we're good, but sometimes we're in zone. It's really scary, and we seem to be in zone quite a bit. So I think our D will be able to handle them. Will it be a shutout? I doubt it. We can't seem to shut out anyone. We always have to give up a
No.
touchdown, usually an early touchdown, as Junko was saying. But I think our D is going to be okay. Although Rolder looks like he's going to be out. His left arm was in a sling when he came out against MSU when he came back out. And Sullivan looks like Sullivan, I'm sorry, his left arm was in a sling. And then but they're saying Rolder may be out also because he's a little banged up from the MSU game. Rod Moore, they're talking about maybe redshirting him, but I don't know that he's going to want to stay for another year. But he's out. He's going to be out. So I mean, we've got three key defensive players that are out. Have to rely on the freshmen in the secondary game. So,
Yeah.
Junko, how do you see the defense?
Yeah, I think that we are going to be leaning on some linebackers in this game. And, yeah, if Rolder does not play, and it looks like it's 50-50, and like you said, Sullivan's out. Maybe they move Barsham back to linebacker and then put TJ Guy back in a defensive end, and they roll that way just for Purdue. I could see that happening. That young Ryan Brown is a quarterback from Clarkston, Michigan, by the way.
Ah.
And
yeah, he is.
he's a competitor, man. I mean, the kid plays hard. He wants to win. He not the most athletic quarterback, but he kind of reminds me of a lot of those very successful, Division I quarterbacks. Where he just he finds a way. He wills it, and so we have to make sure that we are hitting him often and with hostility. Again, I want to see us get ahead and work on the situational stuff. Purdue's got two playmakers that we really need to control. One of them is Maccabee, but I heard that he might be hurt for this game. And then Jackson, their wide receiver, and if they can shut those two guys down, I can see them taking over this football game early, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I just think the way for the D to be successful is to get off the field on third down. We haven't done that this year. Here's an opportunity once again to take that next step. Like to see some turnovers. Purdue again is a team they should beat. So
yep.
So basically, let's not
be our own worst enemy.
Yeah, I was just going to say I think we may see Barham go back to linebacker maybe. With Rolder out, and I don't know. Might be interesting. They may take him off the edge and put him back to
heard that
linebacker.
I heard that Bowles is going to play a lot in this game too. And if you guys know Bowles, he's a transfer that came to us from Alabama, Georgia. Yeah, right, Georgia. And his father is the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So he's not that means anything, but the point I guess is that he should have grown up in a relatively smart, IQ-wise football family, and so I'd love to see him, maybe have some success. I've watched him, and he's a mixed bag, so we'll have to see how that plays out this week.
When I heard he transferred, I thought sure we'd be seeing more of him, but I guess his play just hasn't been there. So,
yeah. All right, Saturday night at the Big House, Michigan is 6-2, 4-1 in the Big Ten. Purdue 2-6, no Big Ten victories, and weather doesn't seem to be a factor. It's going to be a little bit cooler by the evening time, low 40s, which I know sounds really uncomfortable to you Southern boys, but it's just fall weather for us. So let's get some predictions. Go ahead, Junko. You first.
Yeah, I think Michigan's going to take care of business. If this game was on the road, I'd be more worried about it. But it's at the big house. I I I just don't want us to get too much of a rush to get to the bye week. Let's take care of our business first.
Mm-hmm.
I think there'll be some anxious moments early. More text messages from Dane and Ernie, right? And panic stricken. And it'll be Michigan 38, Purdue 10.
Okay. All right, Dane.
Did you say 38-10?
I did.
Are you looking at my notes?
Is that what you have?
That's what I wrote down, 38-10. For all the reasons we talked about, I agree. They should win. I'll go 39-10 just to be different. How's that?
All right. Well, I agree with both of you. I think this is the big game that Dane is looking for. I think it's Michigan 34, Purdue 13. So I got a little bit more offense on Purdue's side than you guys do.
Hey, Bob, ask Dane how he gets to 39 points, with the touchdowns.
I know.
Are there a couple of safeties in there?
There's a couple of safeties in there.
He's the scientist. Let him figure it out.
How do you get to 39 points? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team score 39 points.
You're probably right. I just had to be different.
He just had to be one. He's playing the Price is Right. He wants to be one. All right. So we've got a couple other odds and ends to pick off. But first, before we get into that, let's not let too much time go by before we hear from the one, the only Blue Dane and his useless but always interesting trivia.
Yes,
take it away, Dane.
Very true. Okay, so they were playing Purdue, right? The Boilermakers, right?
Yes.
So how'd they get their name? Any clues? I mean, no.
Well,
They
they're
like beer and
railroad
whiskey.
engineers, right? Aren't they engineers?
Well, Boilermaker, they're the ones that actually make the boilers, right? So for the steamships, for the steam trains, yes. They make the boilers that use to produce the steam to make the engine run. So back in 1891, after they defeated Wabash College 44-0, the local papers there actually referred to them as the burly Boilermakers from up north. So the name just stuck. And then later on, they called them the Boilermakers, and they came up with the train because, the steam engine locomotive had a boiler on it. And so they're the Boilermakers. Now, I know Junko was thinking of the drink, right? The shot in the beer. But come on, get your mind off of that, okay? We're talking something else here. But anyway, part of that was also the school's focus on engineering and the working class background of many of its students. So the train is actually called the Boilermaker Special. So anyway.
Creative.
There's kind of the useless part. Here's maybe a more interesting part. Anyway, there were 3 quarterbacks from Purdue to start and win Super Bowls. I'm going to give you 2 of them. Give me the third. So the first is...
You're going to give me the one I'm thinking of.
Drew Brees. Okay, Drew Brees, New Orleans Saints. He went on to win a Super Bowl. Len Dawson with Kansas City. And went on to win a Super Bowl also. Who's the third quarterback?
Bob Greasy.
This third quarterback threw actually won 2 Super Bowls. He was part of the first team to go undefeated and untied, the Miami Dolphins. Bob Greasy is the answer. Good job.
Okay, very good.
Junko. Yep. Yeah, he won
that came
Super Bowl
relatively
7
easy for
and
Junko.
Super Bowl 8.
Yeah, I had written down Bob Greasy as my very first answer. So.
Okay. I had the clue, too, of his son played for Michigan back in 1997. So
we're one of those Super Bowl teams, obviously the undefeated team, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was the first one, Super Bowl 7. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I had written down Greasy, Breeze, and Danielson. So I'm glad you gave me the Len Dawson part.
Mine was Drew Brees. That was it. All right. So before we move on, let's get some quick answers to some burning college football questions, and we can do this rapid fire. Just go ahead, right off the top of your head. Number one, Junko, I'll throw it to you first. Brian Kelly is out at LSU, another high-priced firing. Who replaces him?
Not Kelvin Shepherd. And it's not going to be Kelvin Shepherd, I can tell you that.
That's too high a profile gig for an assistant.
I have two names, but if I had to pick one, I would say the name is probably going to be Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. That's my guess. Yeah.
Dane? You got a guess?
I don't know if they're going to be able to pull Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss. That's a good question. And you're going to, as the season goes on, of course, there'll probably be more firings. So there'll be more available coaches. But I mean, I don't think LSU wants to go after a coach who's been fired, right? So they're going to have to pull somebody from some other program, and they're probably going to want somebody from the SEC, I'm guessing. It could be interesting. I don't know. What
Nick
when I
Saban?
think, pull Nick Saban back from his. I don't know if he wants to come back. I mean, he was pretty down on the whole NIL thing. I don't know if he wants to get mixed up.
He's older than Moses too.
And LSU's heading the wrong direction. LSU's had some pretty. I mean, their recruiting has been pretty good, and Kelly's done pretty darn well there. And he had a winning record. I mean, what is 34-13 or something? And but certainly they expected a lot more out of him. So
what happened to your one-word answer? Come on.
I don't have a pick. I was thinking Dabo Sweeney maybe from Clemson. They might pull him over.
All right, we'll take that.
Clemson is not doing well, and it may be time for him to move on to greener pastures.
Next question. All right. Penn State has a vacancy. Who is the next Penn State coach? Junko.
I have two major candidates, actually three, I'm sorry. John Rahm, who used to coach at Purdue, who is now the Louisville coach. I think a lot of him, and I think that he'd be an excellent coach at Penn State. You give him those resources and that recruiting base with his toughness, Penn State would become a very good football team. Also, like Mike Elko at Texas A&M, although I think he's a tough pull because Texas A&M's got a lot of cash. And then Eli Drinkowitz, the Missouri coach. If there's a guy once again who could go. Missouri's not a premier program. He's in a good spot at Missouri, and I know Missouri's trying to extend him. But if they don't get him done, I bet he interviews for the Penn State job.
Blue Dane, any thoughts?
I was going to kind of stay in the Big Ten. What about Kurt down at Indiana? I mean, he's doing really well.
Extension.
Huh? He just got an extension? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's got it.
It was for quite a bit of money too, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They extended him for that very reason, so he wouldn't interview.
He
for
wouldn't go.
job.
Yeah.
Right. He's a hot property right now.
So the only other one comes to mind, but I don't think he's going to leave is Ryan Day, maybe going over to Penn State. But I don't see him leaving OSU at this point now with the success they've had and what they're paying him. Yeah. So, I agree with Junko. Those are probably the three most likely candidates at this point.
Yeah, Ryan Day's got that lifetime supply of Just for Men for his beard.
Oh, jeez.
I don't see him leaving that at all.
From the cartoon Popeye, doesn't he remind you of Brutus?
Brutus, yes.
Yeah, he does.
Not until now. You mentioned it. All right. So, who's the next Big Ten coach to be fired? Junko?
Oh, John Smith for sure. I mean,
what a shame.
It has to be, right? I mean, there's some. Greg Schiano should be the guy. At Rutgers, that guy has. I think his top win total in his career at Rutgers is like 7 wins. But I think it's going to be John Smith. I don't think he makes it through the season.
I think Jonathan Smith may move on before they even fire him. He may try to move on even before they fire him. But what about your buddy Matt Rule, man? Nebraska's not doing anything like they expect.
He just signed an extension this week too.
Did he really? Oh, I missed that. Oh my Lord. Why,
Yeah, because they were
extension for
talking
what?
about him going to Penn State, so they signed him to an extension.
I don't know why they
Which
wanted
I
to keep
can't
him.
believe, because what is the love
I
for
know.
Matt Rule?
I have
What?
no
I
idea.
just do not get it.
I don't get it either.
You know, he's on the
All right.
list of coaches that I hate. Yeah,
Yeah, we've covered that before.
and I know, and I got a list. Yeah.
Okay, 4 regular season games to go. It's not too early. Who is your favorite to win the CFP championship, Junko Bodie?
You know, Blue Dane is going to hate this, Bob, but it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. I have as my favorite. And you know who I have as my second one? The Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know everybody thinks they're a fraud, but I don't think they're a fraud. And
But you're staying in the Big Ten, eh?
yeah, well, I had 3 teams. I like Texas A&M. I think's got a shot too. I could
Okay.
see them
Yeah.
rising up. They got a very good football team, and they seem to get one of the important things is to get better as the season goes along. And I think Texas A&M is. So I like
Okay.
those 3.
Dano?
Yeah, I kind of like Texas A&M. OSU, yes, they beat Texas that 14-7, but Texas has not been what we thought Texas is going to be. And quite frankly, their Big Ten schedule, they don't even play Indiana. They may play them
Right.
in the championship game.
In the championship. Yeah.
They're going to play. Ohio's going to play Penn State, but Penn State's a hollow
It's a rudderless
shell
ship.
of what they were, of what we thought
That's
they
going to be
were.
an interesting game. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's at Ohio, so they're going to probably clobber the hell out of them. So, Ohio, I think they certainly are the top 3. I would say Indiana. Last year we called them. We said, hey, I don't know, it's Indiana's a hoax. They got into playoffs. They got their ass kicked. They were out. But I think this year it's so much different. They are in fact, they could win the Big Ten championship. I think. I know we got Oregon hanging around out there too, and we keep talking, well, Michigan wins out and they beat Ohio, they could be in it. Yeah, that's true. So I
Okay.
right now, if I had to put money on it, I would go with Texas A&M. I really like the way they play.
All right. All right, moving on. Thank you, guys. Moving on, Michigan basketball right around the corner. So let's just touch on that real quick. Michigan comes into the season rated as the best team in the country. They played an exhibition game Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, defeating number 5 St. John and Rick Pitino by a score of 96-94 in overtime. Did you guys have a chance to look into that at all? I know the football game was on at the same time. Junko, any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I watched the game. I had them both on. That's the beauty of having the multi-view on
YouTube TV. But I heard you lost
my God.
ESPN.
It's so freaking great. Anyway, so
You-
I had them both on. I was watching them both, and I had that because I got the Big Ten Plus course, and Michigan is number 5 coming into the season. Okay, so or I'm sorry, wait a minute.
7.
St. John's was number 5.
5.
Michigan came in at number 8, I think it was.
7 or 8.
Yeah. But anyway, they came in. They went into Madison Square Garden and they beat the Rick Pitino-led St. John Red Storm.
High scoring
And
game.
yeah, I watched both of their exhibition
Which it was
games,
overtime, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an overtime game, and Michigan looked still pretty clunky. Both offensively and defensively in their sets. They've got some terrific talent, but they've got some holes too. And I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular, is that I had at the end of the season I kind of hoped that Namari Burnett would move on and maybe Roddy Gale would transfer, and they could come up with some more complete players. And those guys, when I watched them in these 2 exhibition games, they're exactly the same guys they were last year, right? And we got all this young talent. It's going to be interesting to see how Dusty molds this team. I think they're going to be a very good team. I think they got a chance to win the Big Ten. But a lot of it's going to come down to how healthy they stay with their 2 big guys. If their 2 big guys can stay healthy, or 3 big guys, so they got Morris Johnson too, but they got Ade Mera, they got Yaxel Lendenborg, and they've got Morris Johnson. Those 3 guys, how well those 3 guys play together is going to depend how well they do this season. I don't know. What do you think, Dane?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I watched some of the highlights, didn't get a chance to watch the game. In fact, at first I heard about it was when you texted and said, "Well, Michigan won. Michigan basketball won." I said, "Well, that's great." And yeah, I watched. I would agree with you. Yeah, they're still a work in progress there, but encouraging. I mean, hell, they beat the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, they could win the Big Ten. I think so. Bob, I'm disappointed you asked about basketball. You didn't ask about hockey.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Michigan basketball opens for real next week, November 3rd. They'll take on Oakland. That's always an opening day. But I was just sitting here wondering about Michigan hockey. Dane, can you update
Oh,
us?
well, thank you for
Good
asking,
Lord.
Bob. So Michigan hockey last week played number 2 Western Michigan, and they split with them. They won at home, and then they lost when they went over to Kalamazoo and played Western over there. So they split with them. And they have Notre Dame this weekend. Notre Dame is unranked, Michigan number 3. So hopefully it is. I believe both games are in at Notre Dame, so in South Bend. So we'll see what happens. But
Okay.
tonight,
Got a lot to look forward
tonight and
to.
tomorrow. Yep.
Before we concentrate on Michigan basketball, of course, by then we'll know that, we'll see what happens with Michigan and Lions football.
Yeah.
We've got that to consume. We've got a big divisional game matchup this weekend, Sunday, with the Vikings coming in. Vikings are 3-4. Huge game for Minnesota and their first 2 against Detroit this season. Lions are tied with Green Bay for division. I'll call it a tie because Green Bay is a fraction or percentage point ahead because of the tie against Dallas. So a lot on the line Sunday. Dane, all signs point to J.J. McCarthy coming back for that game. So what's the state of Minnesota offense and what does Detroit have to do to prepare for it? Let's discuss that Vikings offense. We'll start with Dane.
Yeah, first of all, JJ will be back.
Okay.
And Wentz had a season-ending,
right.
probably career-ending shoulder injury. I think he may be absolutely done. But
That's
JJ,
terrible. Yeah.
yeah, it is a terrible way to go out. And he had, a few years ago, he played so darn well. But anyway, JJ will be back. I love JJ for what he did at Michigan, but man, when you watch him, that Minnesota offensive line is not the Michigan offensive line he had, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he is pressured. He is running for his life many times. And, I see that again this time. He probably going to start him off with some, run plays before they he may try to throw to Jefferson, his favorite target. But boy, JJ has been pretty darn inconsistent. He had that one great quarter against the Bears, and then he's hurt again. So again, I love the guy, but I don't see the Minnesota offense doing a whole lot against our defense is a little banged up. I don't see we got Branch coming back, which is good. So I
Right.
don't see him doing a whole lot against our defense.
Junko, how do you see it?
Yeah, JJ's back. He's rusty. He's inexperienced. He's missed 22 of 24 of the games in his career due to injuries. As Dane mentioned, he's got a suspect offensive line that's banged up with injuries right now, just like our offensive line is. I don't know. I think they're going to have to rely on the run game against Detroit, and I don't know if they could run the football. So, I think this is a real opportunity for Detroit to put a stake in Minnesota, so to speak. Again, I mentioned the Vikings cat. I think O'Neal and Darius are both questionable for the game. That's 2 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. They got excellent receivers though, and so I mean, if they're going to win the game, they're going to have to win it with the passing game, and it'll be interesting to see with JJ coming back the way that he is and doing the things that Dane mentioned early in the season, where he really only had one good quarter of football.
This is his 3rd career start.
Yeah.
And so even though Justin Jefferson's very dangerous, you got a guy who's making his 3rd career start. For all practical purposes, he's still a rookie. He's gonna target TJ Hawkinson a lot.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Junko brought up the run game. I mean, they're 26th in the league, Minnesota, with 94 yards per game. And even passing, they're 19th in the league at 203 yards. The total offense are 26 at 297 yards. So their offense is struggling, and
Yeah.
I don't
They
see
also
JJ
have trouble. They have trouble converting on third down.
Yeah.
So,
And there should be a lot of opportunities for the Lions defense to get turnovers in this game. And the game's it's in Detroit. So,
oh yeah. Sam Darnold left that franchise for Seattle, where he is flourishing. He's playing similar to how he played last year with the Vikings, and
he didn't
he
didn't leave, Bob. He got run out.
Yeah, he got run out. Right.
I think
He kind of left before they booted him.
Yeah.
Sign was on the wall. So we'll see. Minnesota had their struggles on offense. Detroit's defense has mainly been on the sidelines with injuries, although Dane mentioned Brian Branch is coming back. Kirby Joseph is still out. I do hear good reports about Malcolm Rodriguez, although he won't be ready for this week. But we are getting healthier. So the bye week did a lot of good for us. What do we need to do to stop Minnesota, Junko?
Well, I'm going to ask you a quick question before I answer, Bob. And is that, do we get a lot of our defensive backs back this week? Because we had all of them were out last week, right? So
yeah, Arnold is still out.
Okay.
And Kirby Joseph is still out.
Okay. So there's two of the four. Yeah.
Yeah. Malik is back. I don't think he was ever out. We got Malik in. Yeah. So I think Branch is the only one.
I think
so White is going to be playing. Yeah. So I mean, they're still really. To think about that, Minnesota Vikings receiving core is excellent.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's a really banged up secondary for the Lions.
I think Hutch wants to get to JJ real bad, though.
And O'Connell is a great offensive mind as a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a somewhat injured, inexperienced offense against a banged up defense. That's really what we have for the game this week. I think they got to shut down the running game, make JJ a passer, but they've got to do it under duress, right? I mean, Hutch needs to have a really good game here, I think, for them.
Yeah.
To be in. And again, I mentioned the opportunity for turnovers. I think they have to take advantage of that. If JJ throws you the ball, make sure you catch it. Let's go the other way with it. So what this week is too is that this is the week of the trade deadline in the NFL. I think it's like week? Tuesday or Wednesday of this week.
Oh wow. Okay.
So the Vikings are what are they? They're
3-4.
3-4. So they'd be 3-5. And so if they didn't win this game, they'd have to go like 7-1 or make a big run after this to get, even have any opportunity probably to get into the playoffs.
They were a playoff team last year.
Right.
Yeah. It blew up.
Yeah. So the question is, are they going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? And I think the Lions don't want to be a buyer, but they may have to be because they are so dinged up. And, and if they win this game, they could maybe not have to be a buyer, but if they lose this game, they may have to be a buyer. So I think this is a big game for both teams in that regard. So anyway, that's kind of what I think about the Vikings against our D. I think our D, again, who would have known that as banged up as they were against Tampa Bay that they could play like that?
I know.
I think they need another one of those types of performances. And let's be honest, J.J. McCarthy is no Baker Mayfield at this point in his career.
Sure.
But he's going to be throwing to better receivers than Tampa Bay had. So it'll be interesting to see.
Blue Dane, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with everything. I was looking at, Junko brought up the turnover, and turnover differential is interesting. So the Lions are +6 and Minnesota's -4. So there's certainly an opportunity there, even penalty wise. Minnesota is penalized almost over the 120 yards more than Detroit. So, if we can get them into penalties, we get them into turnovers, we get pressure on them. I know Aiden, with his $180 million extension for 4 years, wants to prove that and I know he's worth it. He's going to continue to prove that, right? And he loves JJ too, but he's going to love to put him on the ground. Be fun. So it'll be an interesting game.
So, Dane, magic number for an offense to achieve in every game, right? In the 2 losses, the Lions have averaged around 14 points in their losses. And in their wins, they average 27. So what do the Lions need to score? What is their number to get this job done this weekend?
Yeah, I think over 30. I, I don't see Minnesota scoring that many points. We might be able to score 14 and win. I don't know, but I still see us. I do see us scoring over 30. And Minnesota, I don't know, less than 20 probably.
Junko?
I like Mike O'Connell as a head coach. I think he's a really good offensive mind. And again, our defense is banged up. So I think we need at least 27 points, right around maybe a little bit over our average to win this football game. The only thing that gives me pause on saying that we need that much is the fact that J.J. McCarty is starting his third game. But get 14 points in the first half, 14 in the second half, and let's move on to the next week and the trade deadline. That's what I say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. So the Lions coming off the bye week, they're a little healthier. So 2 questions for you. Does that make them better prepared against Minnesota? And of course, what happened to them during that week off that will help them get to the division title and make a playoff run? Because here it is. We're in the home stretch right now. November is the marker.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What do you think, Dane? What do they need to do? What are they looking at?
I think they're going to do well. I think, we're still with the games left. We're going to beat Minnesota. We're going to beat Chicago. And Green Bay will be interesting. And then
Green Bay's Thanksgiving.
Other games out there. I think they're making a really good run at the playoffs again. I think I picked them to be 10-7. They probably end up being better than that. So that's what I'm looking at going forward.
Junko, you mentioned the trade deadline. So what do they need at the trade deadline, Junko?
Well, first of all, what the week off did for them was allowed them to heal, and that was big. And the other thing that allowed them to do was to do a self-audit, right? To look and see how other teams are attacking them and seeing where maybe they haven't attacked other teams like they should have. And I think that week is always very helpful for that. And the fact that this is a home game following a bye means they actually got an extra day because they didn't have to travel, right?
True.
So, I just think that when you look at the bye week from the perspective of this game, that they had an opportunity to kind of go back and look at the film on JJ and then kind of see how this week played out with injuries for the Vikings. So again, formulating a great offensive game plan. I expect them to have a really good offensive game this week because of all these factors. I think Goff and his receivers need to work on timing a little bit because they seem to be off in the last couple of weeks prior to the bye, and I think they got the time to do that. Our DBs are ailing and gave them time to get up some of those bruises, and it also gave management a time after the self-audit to take a look at the trade deadline and say, hey, what do we need to do to have this team take that very next step? We were so close last season. We're in a position this year to get to the playoffs again. Mm-hmm. How do we make that one adjustment that puts us over the top? I got 2 words for them. Mason Crosby.
Oh, here we go.
I know, right? I'm on free Mason. That's all I can say. Free Mason. That's all I got.
That's still a pipe dream, but I'll tell you what the bye week might have done is for the John Morton, the offensive coordinator, to figure out how to get Jameson Williams the ball. He's been kind of like MIA these last few games
on my fantasy team.
Well, he hasn't been doing much for you. So
I'm like a jinx. I
would
players.
love to see some of that happen. So
I saw an article that he basically said, I have failed Jameson.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, I have got to get him more involved in the game. So, yeah, you're right.
He did the old Jim Baker speech, eh? I have failed. So, predictions, all right? 1:00 start at Ford Field. Lions versus Vikings, a big old black and blue division matchup. Junko, how you see it going?
Detroit 31, Minnesota 20.
Close. Dane?
I got a 34-14 Detroit.
Okay. And I got 31-17 Lions, of course. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend. So let's move on to trivia. We got some Lions trivia. And, as we look forward to welcoming JJ McCarthy back to the area, I got to thinking about Viking quarterbacks that were also Lions quarterbacks at one time. And there have actually been quite a few, actually 6 in total. All right. Which of these quarterbacks were not both a Lion and a Viking during their career? Teddy Bridgewater, John Kitna, Dante Culpepper, and Matt Castle. All familiar names, but one of these was not a Viking and a Lion in their career.
Matt Castle.
Junko.
Yeah, that was my first thought too, but because Dane said Castle, I'm going to say Culpepper.
Oh, Dante Culpepper was a big star for Minnesota before he got to the Lions.
Yeah.
So that's wrong. Matt Castle actually played 2 games in 2018 with the Detroit Lions. And played 12 games. He played a season for the Vikings. Nope. The real answer is John Kitna. John Kitna was never a Viking.
Oh, okay. Never a Viking.
Oh, I was thinking, I was going the other way. I was thinking, which one wasn't a Lion? Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah. I tried to be both. I know.
Okay. I got it. There you go.
So,
all right.
So actually, there have been 81 players that have worn Viking purple and Honolulu blue in their career. Notably, some names that we'll all recognize: Nate Burleson, Adrian Peterson, Anthony Carter, and Junko's close personal friend, Jerry Ball.
Oh, I love Jerry.
Did you play softball with Jerry Ball?
No, that was William Gay.
Oh, William Gay. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it was William Gay. And the Harrell. And James Harrell, too. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I saw James Ball, I thought that was the guy, but it was William Gay. That's right, Jerry Ball.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Please smack that like button wherever you listen. I'll remind you once again to check us out on YouTube for the complete viewing experience. Search Lowdown on Motown Sports, subscribe, and you'll get notified when we have a new show. Find us on Facebook. Of course, Junko is always putting on new content for Michigan and Motown sports fans. Leave a comment or a question. We'd love to hear from you. This podcast is part of Junko Bodie Productions and an exclusive production of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Network. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Lowdown on Motown Sports. Thanks, guys. We're out.
Free Mason Crosby.
All right, hold on a sec. I'm loading.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. If you're liking what you're hearing, then why don't you do us a solid and rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show. And, we're pretty awesome, so why not share the awesomeness? We appreciate it. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast.